Hello and welcome back to the Martial Breath. We are going to be looking at walking with our Qi Gong practice. So again, we're not going to overcomplicate it. We're not going to be using the upper body at all. We're just going to be focusing on the legs. So in the last video, we had a look at how we contract and then expand through using the breath and the legs. And now what we're going to do is a couple of exercises that take us from that basic principle into our full walking pattern. For this next exercise, what we're going to do is we're going to shift the weight from the left to the right. And this is going to form the basis of your stepping. So this time, as we drop down, as we breathe out, we're going to bring the weight over to the left. As we breathe in, we're going to rise and you're going to come up onto your tiptoe, or if your balance is good enough, you can lift that foot off the floor. Now, as we breathe out, we reach the leg out, place it on the floor, drop down, sink back down into that compression. Then when we breathe in, we're expanding through the body, coming up to the right side this time, lifting the leg up if you can, and then dropping back through that movement as you breathe out. Okay, so you can keep practicing that all the way through. And again, what this is going to do, it's going to work on your balance, it's going to work on your strength. You're also coordinating the breath with the movements as well, so this is slightly more complex this time. Okay, so for this guided practice, what we're going to do, set the feet nice and wide. We're going to just start with moving to the left first. Don't worry, we're only going to do a minute. If you find that you don't do an even number of times, you can just finish off the other side. So we're going to start with an in-breath, stand up nice and tall, and then breathe out and sink down, moving to the left. We breathe in, we come up, lift the leg. If you can, place it back down, sink back down on your out breath, then transfer the weight over to the right, gain the balance, lift the leg, then reach the toe out, place the toe, sink down, and then breathe in, rising up. And as you see, we're moving nice and slowly, so you won't have to rush this. If you find yourself wobbling at all, you can keep the toe in contact with the floor as you come up, and then this is working the same thing. So we drop down, breathe out, move over, come up, lift the leg if you can, balance momentarily, sink down. Okay, so we're going to finish this one. Now place the toe, sink down, and then as you rise, come up through that neutral position and relax. Okay, so through that one, you would have probably found that you work up a bit more of a sweat. Obviously, a minute is fairly easy. You only get a few reps on each side. You can lengthen that out, anything up to like 5-10 minutes. You can slow it down, you can speed it up slightly, but the idea is that you need to match those movements with your breath. Everything we do in this, the breath is the number one focus. Okay, so if you find that you're wobbling a little bit, you can leave that toe in contact with the floor. That's going to help you to reference for your balance. But you can even make this slightly narrower so you can come down. So it's a little bit easier to balance as you push up through the leg. Again, there's lots of variations and lots of ways you can take this. So please have a play around and a practice. And we're going to take it into walking on the next one. So for part 2, we're going to take a look at actually taking steps and turning corners and everything else that we need for when we're walking with our Qi Gong. So you want to at least have a little bit of space to walk around in. This is going to give you some variation and some things to play with. So we're going to start with a slow out breath as we drop down. Now, as you breathe in, you're going to come up. Only this time, unlike the last practice, you're going to move your foot placement. So you're going to bring it down, sink down, transfer the weight as you breathe out. And as you come up, you're going to change direction, take a step, sink down, breathe out. And as you can see, I can make very slow progress around the space So just allow yourself to explore all the areas of the space that you're working in, and then that's just going to mean that you get a little bit more variation when you're walking around. We won't stick the timer on for this practice simply because we're just going to look at various aspects. So just for the practice, you're going to breathe out, sink down. As you come up with the in-breath, you're then going to reach the toe, place the heel, and slowly transfer the weight. Now, as you come up, you're going to breathe in, place the foot forwards, place the heel down first, sink the weight, and then come up. Okay, so when we want to change direction, what we're going to do is we're going to move the foot into a position where we turn the toes and it puts stress on the hips. Now, by putting stress on the hips, what that's going to allow you to do is you're going to be able to pivot and you will naturally unwind. So if I lock the hips in this way, as I sink down, I breathe in, and if I push straight up from my left leg, my hip naturally opens up. So then when I place my foot back down, the angle has changed and I can direct my step wherever I need to go. So I'm going to come up. I can even turn back the other way, so I can turn my foot. Be careful not to place the weight on it until it's fully secure, because if it's going to slip or if it's uneven or something like that, you're committing a lot of the weight onto that leg. So make sure that you have a nice stable platform to transfer the weight onto. Now, as I push up through that standing leg, my hip opens up and then I turn the corner slightly. So you can, again, just work around the space that you have. This will probably be less of a time constraint practice rather than how much your legs can take. Because you're doing a lot of balance, a lot of single leg squatting and transferring the weight through, you'll find that the tension builds up in the legs quite quickly. So try to do as much as you can. Try not to move too fast, and always think about the breathing when you're matching your movements. So again, as you sink down, you transfer the weight onto that single leg. As you breathe in, you lift up. So at this point, you're entirely balanced on one leg. Place the foot down wherever you feel like, or wherever's comfortable. Breathe out as you sink, but transfer the weight forwards. So then when you take your in-breath, you're automatically ready to take that next step. Okay, so have a play around with that. We're going to move into combining the movements in the next video, so I hope to see you then. Thanks for watching.